Well, we've been out and we've managed to get the bits together for the fire, and Jane and I are going to have a log fire and a chat round the fire for you today, aren't we, Jane?
Hopefully, and I'm just cooking some sausages for us to eat round the fire.
So we're going to have some sausages.
A glass of red wine later.
Yeah, maybe. So send your questions in and we'll answer some of your questions. We've been to a sort of a spooky castle today, although it doesn't claim to be haunted. But maybe we could do a few questions about the spirit world and what it's like, things like that, and do some talks about that type of thing. So we'll take your questions in the description below. All right, so this is Craig and Jane from our place in Italy, where we're planning to have our spiritual centre in the future. So hope you enjoy this little bit round the fire. I've got some patron questions.
Okay.
I've got some patron questions. The show hasn't got better light in here, really, isn't it?
Okay. I did enjoy today. I enjoyed having that cup of coffee and that time just sitting there watching the world go by. And then we spoke to that lovely Italian man that could speak some English, and he said his name was Angelo. I said, "Are you an angel?" And he laughed. And then he told me he's never left Italy, only once for his honeymoon in New York.
Yeah, that was
for 18 days. I said, "That's some honeymoon." And he laughed.
Well, that was the haunted castle up there, but I looked it up. I hadn't found any stories about haunted castles, although it did say that it was it'd been this film set for some film or other where they put a horror story up there, an Italian horror movie had been up there. So I thought today we're doing the Craig and Jane show with pretty bad lighting and things, unfortunately, but we've got to sort these things out yet. Doing it here from our home in Italy, where it's going to be the spiritual centre.
Yeah.
Indeed, isn't it, Jane? And I've got a few of your questions coming in, and we could take a few questions, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I've asked you to text a few in so we can get your questions in. And the first one is, do spirits ever remain attached to places like castles, even if no one has seen or felt them for centuries?
Yes.
And it carries on, can spirits simply fade away over time?
Well, I think they have attachments, and you feel the residue of that energy in the castles, because it's like this place really. The moment we stepped over, we felt such love because it belonged to a doctor and a mayor, and they never actually, but you could feel as if it was hugging us, if you like. It does. And I definitely feel the lady looks after us and the gentleman.
Yeah, I think so here, doesn't it?
Yes.
You get a certain feeling of the spirit here in this place, definitely. I mean, I felt welcomed.
Yes,
here.
that's, yeah.
So when they're saying, so does it remain attached to? Well, it doesn't remain attached as such, does it? I mean, I suppose they talk about spirits getting attached to this, that and the other. But I think it's more a question of the energies are left in the environment. The vibrations of the people that used to live here are left in the atmosphere.
Well, yeah, and you can feel everything as an energy, even the olive grove that we've got here, you can feel lovely energy, everything about this place. I mean, when I look at this place at the back, or in the olive grove, it looks like a 1940s Hollywood place.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking of Sunset Boulevard sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it's lovely energy.
And can spirits fade away over time? Well, I suppose it doesn't really. I mean, otherwise I suppose if they must have to fade away a bit over time. Otherwise the main thing we'd be picking up is about the dinosaurs, wouldn't we? Because they've been here longer than anybody else.
I believe it would take centuries.
Another one that's come in, and thanks for texting these in, guys. It makes it far more interesting for us here too. Feel like we've got thousands of people with us. What's the difference between a haunting and a visitation from a loved one? How can we tell if what we experience is a lost soul or a spirit of light?
Well, if you felt somebody you were close to, you would sense that vibration and you would know that somebody's about. But if it's somebody else that you didn't even know or anything like that, I mean, sometimes you can go in buildings and think, I can't put my foot over the threshold because there's something not quite right here.
Yeah, it does get that feeling sometimes.
Or
in places.
You could go into a church and think, oh, this is lovely, I can feel the love. I mean, our Italian grandson, he'll say, Nanny, don't go in churches because they do terrible things. He means Jesus on the cross.
Yeah. So the difference between a haunting and a visitation, you see. So a visitation is when a spirit of someone you know and love comes through you. That's what happens when we do mediumship. A haunting people talk about spirits that are earthbound, don't they? They talk about spirits that I can't get cross
Trapped
over.
between two worlds.
And I think there are occasionally, very occasionally, spirits like that, and we've experienced things like that before, haven't we? But ever so rare. I mean, from what you see on TV programs and things like that, you think they'd be there everywhere.
You wouldn't be screaming like that,
No,
would you?
I mean, most of it's nonsense. And I think, you know, yeah, so perhaps there is a difference. And how can we tell the experience is a lost soul or a spirit of light? So a lost soul, I suppose they mean something like a spirit that's lost. And I don't know if a spirit can really get lost, because I think souls get picked up by the higher realms of the spirit ultimately. And I think, all spirits, all souls go to the spirit world ultimately.
Well, their ancestors,
gravitate there.
Their ancestors would guide them too, going back to the spirit realm.
They like these idea of trapped spirits, don't they? Here's another question that's just come in. If a spirit is trapped or restless in a location, can it be helped to move on? And have you ever personally guided one to the light?
We have. One that comes to mind is on a haunted houseboat. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was quite interesting.
And we had to go and literally row out to it, and it was all real like a horror film, all sort of damp, dusk,
moonlit
and then
waters.
you literally had to walk up the plank and try and balance, and we did feel things there, and it was definitely an entrapment of a man on that boat.
Yeah,
definitely.
it really was the right atmosphere. It was really like a typical film script, wasn't it? It was like at the beginning of Treasure Island, going out to the old galleon sort of feel across the moonlit waters.
The other mediums that were with us were actually terrified. And because I believe it's bad luck to have women living on boats and that.
Well,
we didn't like the woman on the boat.
I mean, we had two other mediums with us.
They were hopeless.
They said, well, carried away with their fantasy in some ways. But then we did have things move around, not
Keys.
a ship moving. They were things shoot across, weren't with keys going across the table and things. That wasn't anybody shoving it or anything like that.
No, and there was one medium there that actually felt an axe go on his head, and he was so frightened, petrified.
Yeah, he felt a thud around the back of his head.
Where Craig and I are more fascinated with all things. And
certainly wouldn't get frightened by it or freaked out by it like one of them did there. But it was interesting, and I think we all felt that knock around the back of our head as if someone had been killed there with an axe or something, and the spirit didn't like the fact that a woman was living on that boat. And that woman didn't want to live on the boat either.
And actually what happened, her bed sheets would slowly roll down, and the bed would thud. Now this woman was a music teacher, and she obviously, to live on that boat, the husband obviously promised her you could take your grand piano, so he chopped her legs off, didn't he?
And nailed it to the side of the boat.
And when you were going through this boat, there was all plastic bags collecting water.
Yeah, oh
really,
God,
you should
that's a
have
right
lived
mess.
on there.
In fact, that was what I thought was behind the haunting as such. There was definitely poltergeist type activity. Now, whether that was coming from spirits or whether it was coming from the woman herself, because one of the things that I felt with it is the woman did seem to have a lot of psychological issues, and whether I don't think she was schizophrenic, but whatever was happening, she seemed to be the one that wanted to attract it. Because once we got rid of that spirit, as it were, and we did clearance, it would take too long to go into the explanation of it now, but once we got rid of that negative spirit, she was saying, it's gone, I want it back again almost. She was taking the attitude, it was giving her some attention.
No, I believe afterwards, when it was cleared, they moved off that boat.
Yeah.
And that, because it wasn't suitable for a woman to live on that boat, and I thought that man was very selfish expecting that.
So I think you have to think sometimes, are there human issues behind this? And were these things we were seeing projections from a living being, because poltergeist activity is often from a living person, or was it something from the spirit world? And I think it was a mixture of both, actually. Another interesting question popped in here, nicely worded, thank you.
It's all smoky, it's not.
It'll go in time.
Just don't want to do it.
Well, no, there's nothing you can do with it now. So the fire's coming on. We're getting a lot of smoke now from the fire. Do spirits experience time differently from us? For example, could a ghost from the medieval period still be aware of us now?
That's a very good question. Of course they could, because it's all time lapse, isn't it? It's like time travellers that's stepping into the two worlds. Of course it would.
See, a ghost from the medieval period. You see, when I look
Viking ghost, I would say Viking ghost.
when I think about the spirit world, I think of the time.
Higher realms.
When they talk about time over there, they can't explain time. They say time is different for us to you. Now, how can we understand what time could be like being different? I think time happens in a sort of different way, in that it's like all happens at once, perhaps. The idea of past, present and future, does that still exist in the spirit world? Or is that kind of malleable? Because I wouldn't want to be... Who would want to live in a world forever in the idea of time? It would be like so boring, So I think time happens in a different way. And so to answer that question is almost impossible because of the nature of time.
Surely your consciousness would just be there permanently, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we step back from the world of
the
form.
Consciousness.
We step back from the world of
disintegrate,
time.
it'd still be there.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting, isn't it? Can objects be brought home from old places, like a stone, antique or painting, carry spirit energy with them? I was just saying, if can you have a haunted painting or something?
Well, some can. Some people get carried away with it. It's like years ago in the 70s, I think they had like the blue lady and a boy that used to cry, and people used to think
green lady.
They used to think it was haunted, but it wasn't. It was just bad paintings.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about the one that used to burn houses down.
No, I'm not talking about that. No, it didn't burn out. There was a boy that used to cry, have tears, and there was a lady, sort of a Asian-looking lady, all in blue, and that. It was very vogue in the 70s.
Yeah.
And women used to like it as if it was a masterpiece.
I know the women. The stories I heard about that was they thought the painting was cursed, didn't they? It was a print. It wasn't an old painting.
Yeah, print.
It was a print that people used to buy. And they had instances where houses would burn down, and the only thing that would survive would be the green lady picture. It was a Chinese-like lady, wasn't it?
I never knew that houses burned down.
Yeah, I read some stories. Colin Wilson wrote about it.
I never knew that. I just thought that it brought bad luck to people.
Yeah, and the bad luck and all sorts of things.
Well, I suppose it is bad luck if your house burns down.
Bad luck if your house burns down, definitely. So, but how about the answer question? She or he's, I'm not so...
Well, I think what she's saying, if you obtained, say, an antique painting and you took it home, I mean, a bit like this Queen Victoria one that's antique, what we've got here, do you think that the spirit's still attached to these different things?
Well, yes. I mean, I'm obviously very interested in all the time I've spent when I'm doing the development circles and things like that, when we did things like what we call psychometry, where we read the energy off an object. So someone could give us their grandmother's ring, and we could describe that grandmother. Now, we weren't necessarily in contact with the spirit of the grandmother, but we were in contact with the energy that was left on the object. So objects could, can't they? Look, I like the one that Danielle sold, that old doll, didn't she?
That was my mother's doll in South Africa.
Yeah.
It was a black doll, and she sold it as a voodoo doll. And people were bidding for it, and I'd had it up the attic for years.
But I think she did have some weird stuff happen with it when they were playing around with the Ouija board.
No, that's that clown one. You know that clown Perio?
Oh right, yeah, was it?
She did with that because its head's moved around.
Oh yeah, that did have some genuine weirdness with it, didn't it? Yes, I think objects can carry energy. Objects you could psychometry is a very interesting thing. Its implications, but I think it can give you a connection to the past. Whether a spirit is attached to it is another question.
Well, it's like if your grandmother was to pass the ring down to a granddaughter, you would feel the energy of that person, definitely, and the love.
So one last question coming in. Are there ever good reasons why a spirit might choose to linger in this world instead of moving on to the next? Could it be to protect, warn or teach?
I suppose
it's not saying about spirits that are trapped, is it?
No, I think it depends on the person, the connection you had, because I believe that the spirit world can protect people, but I think if somebody had mental illness and they kept seeing things, thinking they're seeing spirit and all these ghost and all these different things. You know, you've got to know what's reality and what's real, haven't you?
Well, I think the spirit world can come from a higher vibration of the spirit. The spirit is another thing quite often talked about spirit communication, is that we have to raise our vibrations to connect with them as mediums, or anybody connecting. You have to kind of raise your vibrations, whatever that can mean, but that's another issue. And the spirit world has to bring their vibration down to us. So a person wouldn't have to linger in this world. They would just be in the spirit world and be able to help us, because the spirit world are around us all the time.
It's only men that linger.
But the spirit world can connect with us, all of us. So I don't think that question's really valid. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting questions. Well, thanks, guys. Looks like we seem to have more of a smoke fire than a fire at the moment.
Well, you should put some more night
we'll have to
lights
wait
on
for it to catch.
I don't want to sit in front of a fire that's just smoking.
Yeah, it's gonna catch in a minute.
Yeah, but you said that half an hour ago. But that's more like sending messages to North American Indians at a fireplace.
And it's working. At least the house isn't full of smoke. It seems that we're working. Anyway, thanks for joining us with that. I hope that was interesting to you. We'll put these little shows like this from Italy at the end of some of the other shows, little shorts, and you can watch the whole thing always on the Patreon channel. If you're interested, on the YouTube members channel, where I put the whole lot on there, the longer versions. But you get a short version here on Coffee with Craig. That was all right, wasn't it, Jenny?
Yes. No, let's have some supper.
Yes, let's have those sausages you cooked.
Yeah.